Neo and Jiho Love Story, Part 51. 1 hour had passed. Dr. Sophie Lee remained close to the bed, her eyes following every line on the screen, every subtle rise of Kang Bora's chest. She had stabilized. For the first time in hours, the machines no longer sounded like a countdown, but like a fragile lifeline holding steady. The door opened gently, and Jiho stepped back inside. His white shirt was creased, his face streaked with the stains of tears, but his presence carried a quiet determination. He moved toward the bed with slow, measured steps, as though afraid that any sudden motion might disturb the peace that had finally settled over his mother. Dr. Sophie met his eyes and spoke softly, her tone firm yet compassionate. "She is stable now, Jiho, but she needs rest. Please, only a few words. Too much will tire her." Jiho nodded, understanding. He approached the bed and lowered himself once again to his knees beside her. His hand brushed lightly against her arm, his fingers trembling as though afraid she might slip away if he held too tightly. He bent closer, his forehead almost touching hers, his voice a whisper heavy with gratitude. "Mama, thank you," he breathed, the word breaking slightly as his lips curved into the faintest smile. "Thank you for coming back to me. I thought I had lost you forever. But you're here. You're still here." Her eyelids fluttered, heavy with exhaustion, but they opened just enough for her to see him. Her voice was thin, like wind passing through dry leaves, but her words carried the weight of decades. "Jiho, thank you for forgiving me." Tears welled in his eyes again, though he tried to hold them back. He pressed her frail hand gently, steadying it within his own. "You don't need to thank me, Mama. I forgave you long ago. Right now, all that matters is that you're here, and I'm here with you. Nothing else." She sighed, a small release of breath, and her gaze drifted toward the two figures standing a little way back in the room. Her lips parted faintly. "Who are those men?" Jiho followed her gaze, then leaned close to her again, his tone tender but reassuring. Jiho stepped forward, his posture tall, his camel coat trailing softly behind him. His voice carried the steadiness of a man who had walked through storms and chosen loyalty over everything else. He bowed his head briefly, then spoke with calm clarity. "I am Jiho, Mama," Jiho continued, "the most loving and caring loyal man I have ever met." Kang Bora's tired eyes moved to him. Her lips curved faintly, the trace of a smile breaking the strain on her face. She gave the smallest nod, acknowledging him not as a stranger, but as kin. Jiho moved over and carefully hugged her. She warmly said, "Thank you, Jiho." Then Jiho gestured toward the man in black, still seated, who now stood slowly, his face grave but tender. "I am Han Ji-hoon." The name struck Kang Bora like a bell ringing in memory. Her eyes widened, her face tightening with recognition. Her breath caught, and she whispered, almost trembling, "Han Ji-hoon, from Han Sukja, my sister's son." Her lips quivered as she said the name aloud. Sukja. Tears welled in her eyes, but not of despair. These were tears that carried years of love and absence, a memory suddenly alive again. King Ji-hoon stepped closer to her bedside. Her frail hand reached slightly upward, and he took it gently, bowing his head toward her. Her voice, fragile but insistent, continued, "When your mother, Sukja, and I were children, we made a promise. If we each bore a son, we would name them Jiho and Ji-hoon. Your name and my Jiho's name are bound by that promise. A vow made in childhood, now living in both of you." Ji-hoon's chest tightened. He lowered himself carefully, leaning closer to her. She pulled him toward her with surprising strength for someone so weak. He embraced her, and her frail frame clung to him with trembling arms. "I am sorry," she whispered against his shoulder, her voice breaking with both guilt and relief. Ji-hoon closed his eyes, holding her carefully but firmly. "It's okay. What matters now is that you are alive, and you are here with us. The rest, we can leave to the past." Kang Bora wept softly in his arms, not the heavy tears of despair, but the gentle tears of someone finally unburdened. Finally, Jiho bent down and kissed her forehead again. His smile was small but steady. Oma, I will be back tomorrow. Sleep now. Rest. Your body has carried too much, but tomorrow I will come again. I love you, my world. I can't believe this is true. Then Jiho capped her face and warmly replied, It's not a dream, Mama. Everyone heard that and smiled. They all moved out of the room, leaving Dr. Sophie Lee and other 2 nurses had now arrived. King Jihoon placed a hand on his shoulder, then, without hesitation, pulled him into an embrace. The corridor outside was quieter than before, as though even the hospital itself understood the sanctity of what had taken place within. King Jihoon's strength wrapped around Jiho like a mantle, and Jiho returned the embrace with equal warmth. Meeting you is a gift, King Jihoon said softly. I am grateful. Thank you, Jiho replied, his voice quiet but resolute. He turned to Taiho, his voice calm but carrying purpose. Young, Jiho said quietly. I want to go to the home where my mother has been staying. I need to see it. I need to see with my own eyes the place she lived, the things she kept, the room you told me about. I cannot leave this unfinished. Taiho, his camel coat draped neatly around his shoulders, gave a firm nod. Yes, Jiho, I will take you there. King Jihoon, dressed in his black suit, stood with his hands loosely clasped behind his back. His eyes were thoughtful, heavy with both concern and admiration. It would be wise, he added. His tone was calm, but his words carried the weight of authority. Go and uncover the details for yourself. It may give you the clarity you deserve. Jiho bowed his head in acknowledgement, grateful. The plan was clear now. He and Taiho would go together, while King Jihoon would return to the palace. Before moving further, Jiho felt the faint vibration at his wrist, his phone signaling a new message. He pulled it out, his eyes softening as he saw the sender. Neo. His lips curved gently before he even opened it. It was a voice message. Jiho tapped the screen and lifted the phone closer, listening. Neo's voice flowed out, soft, prayerful, filled with devotion. It was a prayer for him, for his mother, for their children. A prayer that light and healing would guide every step. Jiho's eyes softened, the corners lifting into a smile despite the heaviness of the day. He listened all the way through, then replayed it once more, letting the sound of her voice settle into him. When it finished, he sighed, his heart calmer than before. He typed a quick reply, adding 2 baby emojis before writing, Everything is okay. She has returned. She has regained consciousness. Has grandmother asked you anything? It didn't take long before Neo's reply arrived. Jiho read it carefully, his chest tightening with warmth. No. She only asked me why I didn't come back with you, but I didn't answer because I didn't know what to say. Jiho typed back immediately. Do not tell her anything. I will find a way to speak to her myself. Just wait for me. There was a pause, then another message from Neo lit up his screen. Okay, I trust you. Jiho leaned back slightly, a smile tugging at his lips. He typed again. My love, what are our babies craving right now? Her reply was instant, playful yet tender. They are only craving the smile of their dad. Jiho chuckled under his breath, shaking his head lightly. He typed back, Then tell them their dad's smile is reserved only for their mama first. Neo replied quickly, Then I will keep it safe in my heart until they arrive. Jiho laughed, the sound breaking through the solemn air of the corridor. He typed again, slower this time, his words deliberate. I love you, Neo. More than words, more than distance, more than this world can measure. Her response came with warmth that seemed to travel through the device straight into him. And I love you, Jiho. Forever. Jiho's eyes softened, his chest rising with a long, steady breath. For a brief moment, it felt as though he was standing with her right there, holding her hand, their children alive in her womb between them. Taiho had been watching silently from the side. He noticed Jiho smiling at his phone, his shoulders shaking slightly with suppressed laughter. Finally, he teased, his voice breaking the quiet. Yeah, love is in the air. Jiho turned toward him, chuckling. His cheeks faintly flushed. "Yes," he admitted softly, "and I will never trade it for anything." Even King Jihoon, usually so composed, let out a small smile at the exchange. The weight of grief and hospital silence seemed to lift just a little. The three men shared a moment together. Jiho tucked his phone away, still smiling faintly. He looked from Tai-ho to King Jihoon, his voice clear and firm. "The power of love cannot be exchanged. It is the one thing that keeps us standing." Tai-ho clapped him lightly on the shoulder, agreeing with a quiet, "Exactly." King Jihoon gave a small nod, his eyes softened with approval. The laughter came then, not loud, but warm. It rippled through the corridor, honest and unforced. For the first time that day, their faces were not heavy with tension, but lit by something gentler. When it quieted, Jiho straightened. "Let's go," he said firmly. "Hyung, take me to where my mother has been staying." Tai-ho adjusted his coat and nodded. "Yes, I'll take you." While it was lunchtime, Insu headed over to the university where Tumi was working on her advanced studies. Students bustled about, some heading toward the bus stop, others lingering under the trees with books still open in their hands. Among them, Tumi emerged, her dark curls bouncing with each step, her satchel slung loosely over one shoulder. She spotted Insu leaning casually against his car, one hand in his pocket, the other tapping his phone. The sight of him waiting drew a smile to her lips. "Finally," he said, lifting his head as she approached. "Do you know how many jealous stares I've endured standing here?" Tumi rolled her eyes playfully. "Oh, please, you enjoy the attention." She slipped into the passenger seat, buckling her seatbelt. Insu grinned as he started the engine. "Only when you're the one watching." Their laughter spilled into the car, filling the small space with a warmth that chased away the long hours of the day. As they drove out of the campus gates, Insu's phone buzzed in its holder. He trailed off, tapping the call button. The line rang twice before Jiho's voice answered, low and weary. "Jiho, finally! Where have you been all day?" Insu asked, his tone half teasing, half concerned. There was a pause, and then Jiho replied, voice steady but heavy with meaning. "If you hadn't seen me today, you'd be burying me." The silence that followed lasted only a beat before Insu burst out laughing. "Ah, Jiho, you never change. Always the dramatic one." But Jiho didn't laugh immediately. His pause was long enough to shift the mood before he finally said, softer, "I mean it, Insu. So much has happened since morning. I'll tell you everything when we meet. For now, just know everything is okay." Insu glanced at Tumi, who was listening closely. He let out a small chuckle to ease the heaviness. Fine. You'll tell me later, but don't scare me like that." "I'll call you soon," Jiho said, and the line ended. Tumi frowned slightly. He didn't sound like himself. Insu gave her a reassuring smile. "That's Jiho. He'll tell us when he's ready." He turned the car toward the shopping district. The mall was alive with weekend energy, children tugging at their parents' sleeves, couples strolling hand in hand, the hum of voices blending with music from nearby shops. Insu and Tumi wandered into a clothing store, the racks filled with bright new arrivals. "Tumi, you should try this," Insu said, holding up a flowing green dress against her. She swatted his hand away. "Stop embarrassing me in public." "Embarrassing you? I'm trying to make you look even more irresistible." Her cheeks flushed, though she pretended not to notice. "You're impossible." After some playful bickering, she finally agreed to try on a few things, emerging from the fitting room to Insu's dramatic nods of approval. "Perfect," he declared loudly. "This is the dress of my future wife." Tumi laughed, covering her face with her hands. "Shh! People are staring!" "Let them," he said with a shrug, eyes twinkling. After they had picked out a few clothes, they moved into a baby boutique. Rows of tiny shoes, pastel onesies, and soft blankets lined the walls. Tumi's eyes softened as she ran her fingers over a pair of little knitted hats, one pink, one blue. "Neo told me," she said quietly. "A boy and a girl." Insu smiled, joining her at the display. Then let's choose something special for them. Together, they picked tiny outfits, matching sets of baby socks, 2 small teddy bears, and a blanket embroidered with little stars. Their laughter returned as they debated colors, Insu insisting on bold patterns, Tumi leaning toward soft pastels. Later, at a cafe, they sat across from each other, sipping coffee while the bags rested at their feet. Insu stirred his cup idly, then said, "Tomorrow, my relatives are arriving." Tumi paused, her fingers tightening around her mug. "I'm scared," she admitted softly. "What if they don't accept me?" Insu reached across the table, taking her hand. His voice was firm but gentle. "Don't mind how they treat you. What matters is I love you. This is just formality. Our future is what counts." Her lips curved into a small smile, comforted by his certainty. As they lingered, their conversation drifted naturally toward children. "I don't want children yet," Tumi said, her tone serious now. "I want to finish my studies first, build my career. I need that time." Insu nodded thoughtfully. "That's fair, but it wouldn't be wrong if we did either." She arched an eyebrow. "I want to be real with you," Tumi began. "I'm all for supporting my sister in everything she does, but that doesn't mean I want to follow the same path." Insu felt a bit unsteady, reaching out to hold his hand. "I care about you, Insu, more than you might think. But honestly, I'm scared of jumping into something serious at just 23. I feel like we should enjoy our lives a bit before thinking about kids." "What if we moved in together?" he suggested. "That's something I could consider. The only future I can picture is with you, Tumi." As they leaned into the moment, it felt like everything else faded away. Out of nowhere, Insu asked, "Who was that boy I saw following you at the university?" Tumi blinked, then laughed. "Are you jealous?" "Yes," he said without hesitation, his jaw tightening. "I don't want anyone else looking at you." Her laughter grew, ringing through the car. "You're mine, Tumi. I don't want to share even your smile." She reached over and pinched his arm lightly. "Possessive much?" "Hopelessly," he said, and they both laughed until tears pricked their eyes. The two of them seated in a quiet corner of a restaurant. Candles flickered softly on the table, casting warm shadows across their faces. Between bites, their conversation danced between serious and silly, between dreams for the future and jokes only they understood. Insu leaned back, watching her with a smile that grew softer by the second. Before they knew it, they had quietly left the dinner and were heading back to his place. What transpired next is something only the adults in the house could speculate about. Jiho glanced at him and said gently, "Jiho, you're ready." The door opened with a faint creak. Inside, the air smelled faintly of medicine and dust. A chair was left slightly pushed back, a shawl hung loosely over it, and pill bottles were scattered across the small table. Tablets still lay on the floor, as though dropped in a moment of collapse. Jiho's eyes wandered the room, but then stopped. The far wall was covered in photographs. He froze in place, breath catching. It was a collage of his life, from babyhood to adulthood. Pictures he had never seen before, pictures from moments he barely remembered. There were baby shots, school photographs, a stage performance with a tiny guitar in his hands. And among them, one photograph of Han Sokya, pinned carefully with a red heart beside it. On the heart were the words written in Kang Bora's hand. Jiho pressed a hand to his chest, shaken. He didn't need to look at each image individually. The meaning was clear. Kang Bora had never stopped watching him, never stopped carrying him in her hidden world of pictures and memories. Behind him, Jiho spoke softly. "She followed every step of your life, Jiho. Even when she couldn't be beside you, she kept you here." Jiho nodded faintly, his throat too tight for words. On a desk beneath the wall sat a wooden box filled with envelopes. Jiho opened it carefully and found a neat stack, each envelope labeled only with numbers. Birthday 5, birthday 18, and so on. 30 of them in total. Letters she had written for every one of his birthdays, but never sent. Jiho's hand trembled as he held them close. A flood of emotions swept through him. Grief, love, anger, and forgiveness all tangled together. Oma. he whispered. Taiho's hand came to rest firmly on his shoulder. She was with you in her own way. Jiho swallowed hard, nodding. Then his eyes caught the 2 diaries on the desk. One was bound in soft leather, its cover labeled, "For my son, Kang Jiho." The other was wrapped tightly in black paper with the word "blackmail" scratched across it. Jiho reached for the first, his hand hovering over it. His chest rose and fell unevenly. "Should I read it now?" he asked quietly. Taiho studied him, his eyes serious. "That diary is for you, Jiho, but some truths can wait until you're ready." Jiho nodded slowly, but his voice was firm. "I don't have time right now. Can I read it later?" "Yes," Taiho replied. "We already scanned it. We didn't read, but the copy is safe. I'll send it to you." Relief and anticipation mingled on Jiho's face. "Thank you," he whispered. After wrapping up everything they needed to do, Jiho expressed his gratitude to Taiho once again for being such a great friend. They headed out, and Taiho drove Jiho back to his place, but made a quick stop along the way to grab a bucket of white and red roses for Neo. Once they got to Jiho's villa, Jiho stepped out gently while Taiho took off, feeling the weight of an emotionally and physically exhausting day. The first person Jiho spotted when he walked in was his grandmother. He rushed into her arms, and after a warm hug, he made his way upstairs to see Neo, flowers in hand. To be continued in Part 52.